I'm NBC 10 News reporter Kelly O'Neill in Fall River, a city of more than 90,000 people, the 10th largest city in Massachusetts. We're just 2 weeks away from a mayoral election, and it comes at the end of a tumultuous year.
Right now, uncertainty over the future of Fall River's government.
Following a series of political scandals that plagued the city of Fall River,
Former mayor of Fall River, Jaisal Correa, has been sentenced to 6 years in federal prison.
Topping headlines for years, voters in Fall River elected Paul Coogan as mayor in November 2019. Now he's seeking re-election.
History books look back at me. I guess I will be known as a COVID mayor.
2 months after taking office, Coogan was tasked with leading the city through the coronavirus pandemic.
The more vaccines we can get into people's arms, the better we're going to be.
He previously served on the Fall River School Committee with a strong background in education. His opponent, Cliff Ponte, has served as a city councilor for the last 6 years, 4 of them as president. He was acting mayor for 3 months in 2019 after Correa was forced out.
And we will get through it as a community.
Ponte also works in the private sector as a real estate broker. Among the issues city leaders face, how it will spend $69 million in American Rescue Plan Act money, its purpose to offset the economic downfall because of the pandemic. The city received half of that money so far, the second half, $34 million, arriving in June 2022. It needs a spending plan to use the money by the end of 2024. Ponte also challenging the fiscal year 2022 budget, claiming the city is in financial trouble.
A 14-year-old boy was shot.
Also at the forefront, public safety and the future of the police department.
We all want to feel safe.
The number of violent crimes is up 26% so far this year compared to last, while property crimes have seen a decline. Those are just a handful of what's happening right now in Fall River. Who will lead the city in the future? Our debate between the two candidates starts right now.
From NBC 10 News, this is Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall, the Fall River Mayoral Debate. Here's your moderator, Gene Valicenti.
Hello again, everyone. Well, Kelly just said that's just a handful of the topic, but it's plenty to talk about for the next half hour in this debate between the two men running for mayor of Fall River. Joining me now as we take this, incumbent Mayor Paul Coogan. Mayor, welcome. And City Council President Cliff Ponte, who hopes to succeed him in the mayor's job. Now, Kelly set it up for us, so let's get right to it. You know, this just struck me. Your city took a real beating, City Council President Ponte, dragged through the mud for a couple of years with the Correa scandal in trial. It was on the news almost every night. Has your city recovered, or is there work to do to clean that up and restore your reputation? And are you the man to do that?
Well, I think I am, and thank you for having us here, and thank you to my opponent for being here today. It's pretty clear that I've kind of been in the center of bringing a stable voice to this community over the last 6 years. Over the last 6 years, I've been on the city council. The last 4, I've served as city council president. And during the time where we were really struggling as a community, when Providence News and Boston News was reporting about Fall River having a black eye, I raised the higher standard from the city council's point of view and tried to be an advocate for the taxpayer and continue to let everybody know that the men and women of Fall River are the strongest residents amongst any in the state of Massachusetts, and we are great. We have great people in Fall River, and while that was a really challenging time for us as a community, we have recovered. We'll continue to recover, and it takes a person who's decisive as mayor to make that happen on the road to recovery.
You opened first by flip of coin. That means that you will close first, Mayor. Same question to you. And by the way, this will be a discussion. I'm just the moderator here, maybe a little bit of an inquisitor, but you're welcome to challenge each other. We hope you engage each other. Mayor, the city took a beating. You, the mayor, as we're watching the former mayor paraded through the courts and in and out. Has your city recovered? Have you done enough to restore the reputation?
I think we're doing a great job in Government Center. I was the one that got into the race with Jaisal because I wanted to change the direction and tenor of government in City Hall. He obviously is working his way out of some very, very serious legal problems, and it casts Fall River in a bad light. Right now, I think the city is starting to turn the corner. I have no reason to think it's time to switch governments after 2 years again. I believe we've brought stability and honesty back to City Hall, and that's going to be the hallmark of my administration right from the get-go. Right. And we're not getting off that.
Right. He says he's been decisive to help burnish the reputation. Do you agree with that? Is it possible that both of you have done the best you can in challenging circumstances? Cliff?
Well, I think my leadership style and my opponent's leadership style are two different styles. I am more of a decisive leader. I haven't ever, in my last 6 years on the city council, shied away from making decisions in Fall River. My opponent has. My opponent, unfortunately, let a superintendent run roughshod over our school department over the last year when morale was low. We have a problem in our Fall River Police Department with morale being at its lowest level that we've ever had before. We have police officers and firefighters and City Hall employees telling me and people in the community that they don't feel supported from their mayor.
Yep.
So I feel that my business acumen, my acumen as a city council president and a city councilor certainly will serve me well as an executive in the city of Fall River. But I feel that I've been decisive. I haven't shied away from controversy. Quite frankly, it's been surrounding me as city council president over what we've been dealing with over the last couple years. So I've stepped up to the plate when I needed to. I put my entire personal life aside when I was acting mayor for 3 months, and I was the one who transitioned my opponent into office to try to have a smooth transition over the next 2 years.
Okay. Mayor, he just laid you out there on a number of issues, so go ahead and respond. And by the way, you're free to engage each other.
Right.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Well, I think it's hysterical that he would describe himself as decisive. The only written documents I have from him that are decisive is how he wants to be mayor. In the memo he sent out to the voters, he clearly described himself as the position of mayor is without a doubt a ceremonial position. If the mayor surrounds himself with staff, there will be no issue of being able to communicate, to oversee, to run, and to continue to operate my real estate business. Fall River does not need a part-time mayor whose focus is on real estate. And in that real estate article he sent to the voters, he mentions 225 evictions that he's waiting to come on the market. How many of those are Fall River families that are going to be displaced while he waits to make a check? My focus is on making Fall River better. We partnered with people to slow down the eviction market. I'm probably hurting him financially, which I'm not trying to do, but at the same time, we're trying to keep people in their homes. He's trying to make money off it.
Council President, there is this infamous memo that you wrote calling the mayor a ceremonial position. You're going to keep working now. You're the 10th largest city. It's certainly not a part-time job, Mayor. It's not ceremonial.
And I appreciate that. So I've addressed that. That was a mistake I made, and I'm a man, and I say that I've made that mistake.
Well, what went into your thinking?
Well, what into my thinking was I was trying to alleviate my staff. I have 150 agents that work at my real estate company, and I wanted to let them know that the broker of their office is still going to be there. If you need a question, you can call me. I've supported many agents and seen their lives transition and transform into something special, and I wanted to relieve them at that time to let them know that I'm going to be there for them, even though I'm seeking the highest offices of the city of Fall River, that I'm still there to support them. But I find it ironic that my opponent wants to sit here and say he's sitting here making Fall River better. Sitting here making Fall River better goes down the same exact path that he's been saying for the last several weeks, that we are strong financially. Being strong financially as a city doesn't mean that we have a $9 million budget deficit going into next year that he wants to shy away from. Last night at the Fall River City Council meeting, he refused to send his CFO to the Fall River City Council to discuss a budget deficit that we have, which going into next year, Gene, is going to be over $9 million. But he wants to shy away from that.
Right.
That's not making.
Let me get into this a little bit.
Mayor, I know you want to get into it. Will you just address this? Because he says, look, I made a mistake. I'm going to be a full-time mayor, and that was to kind of assure my staff that I'd be for them to answer questions.
Hold on. No, I don't accept that. All right, if that's his philosophy of government, why is telling his staff okay, but not telling the people in the South End, this is what I'm going to do? Why is it okay to not tell the people in the North End, this is how I'm going to govern? He was trying to make it sound like he's telling only his staff. Let's get real here. If this is his philosophy, the voters have a right to know it. The mistake was, what mistake? He typed it, he proofread it, he sent it out. This wasn't an off-the-cuff remark, which I've made plenty of, and I bet Cliff wants to take some back. This was a well-thought-out document that he sent out to everybody. And clearly, he doesn't even know how long he was acting mayor. In the document, he constantly refers to 5 months. He was there for 3 months. So if he's going to count the numbers in the budget when he doesn't even know how long he was in government center, we have some serious problems. And as far as the $9 million deficit goes, that is without the debt exclusion, which he knows is, I'm hoping he voted for the new Durfee. Maybe he didn't. But when we campaigned for that, that was to take effect in 2023. That's about $5 million. There's also in there something he probably doesn't also know, that we factored in an extremely high healthcare increase of almost $4 million. There's $9 million right there between the debt exclusion and the health insurance increase. on top of that, we're sitting on $34 million. We have additional monies coming from the federal government and the state. So I'm not a bit concerned about the budget at this time. We have work to do. We do it every single day. But as far as him being the catalyst for correcting the budget, I haven't seen one thing from them in July, August, September. Now, 2 weeks out from the campaign, we're in a catastrophe because he has to paint it that way.
You know what's interesting here is the mayor doesn't understand the difference between the executive branch and legislative branch. And it shows that he doesn't have the ability and the confidence and the wisdom to be the executive in the city of Fall River. He continues to say he needs to wait for the city council to come to him and give him suggestions. You are the mayor. You prepare the budget. It is your responsibility to present a budget to the taxpayers. You had a city council meeting, and this is what happens. This is what's been happening all along the campaign. When the mayor's been pressed to answer questions about policy, he goes back to a memo which I've already addressed. The residents of Fall River, who have gone through enough over the last couple of years, deserve answers to policy questions. Enough is enough when it comes to speaking about a memo and talking about evictions and all these other things.
How can you make a policy?
Quite honestly, I want to know why you're not going to send your CFO to a city council meeting and go to a ordinance meeting tonight because you don't want to face the facts. You don't want to face the music about a deficit. That's the reality here.
Let's be real.
Go ahead, Mayor. Go ahead.
We're talking, this memo is not an off-the-cuff thing.
Talking about the memo.
It's a philosophy of government. He wants to be a ceremonial mayor. I've talked to every mayor. Carlton, John Mitchell, Eddie Lambert. I don't even know where he got that from. I don't know who told him that that's how the job is. So he came up with this theory of how he was going to manage two jobs. As far as the budget and the CFO, they weren't able to attend the Cliff Ponte campaign rally last night in Government Center.
That's not true.
He brought in his family. He brought in people to talk. He staged an event in using Government Center as a rally point for his campaign. Only because of desperation at the end.
That is nonsense. Gene, that is just absolute
20
nonsense.
seconds, I'm going to cut it off, move to another topic.
That is absolute nonsense. You told your CFO not to attend, and she said it in an email that the mayor told me not to attend the meeting.
The campaign
That's
rally.
what happened. In addition to that meeting, we found some very interesting facts at last night's meeting about an individual and a man who wants to do business in Fall River who is now threatening a play again with marijuana that the mayor still hasn't addressed either. So maybe we'll address that.
Hold on. You just raised that. You'll be able to answer that. But let's move on to another topic, clean the slate. The topic is the budget. You have really squawked that the mayor bought an incomplete budget, wasn't aware of a budget gap that has to be filled. Lay that out for me in 30 seconds. Then the mayor's going to give his answer for this. Let's not get in the weeds, though. Remember, people are watching at home.
Well,
let's understand it.
And I appreciate that. So the mayor used one-time money to balance this year's budget because he's been indecisive in making decisions over the last 2 years. When you use one-time money, you set up structural deficits for years and years and years. What that means is if you get $1,000 a month from your boss, and for some reason that $1,000 isn't there next year, you need to either reduce your expenses or raise your revenue. And that's what we have in Fall River. Currently, right now, this mayor has used $2.8 million of opera money, one-time money, to balance the budget. He used American Recovery money, $2.9, to balance the budget. He used free cash, or is going to use free cash, of $1.3. We still owe the schools 100% of net school spending, which as an educator, he still hasn't committed to. Okay? And in addition to that, we still owe the schools another $1 million. So going into next year, we have a structural deficit of $9.6 million. And he says, Gene, says that we're going to go to the debt exclusion to $5 million when he ran around Fall River to try to get people to say, let's vote for a new high school, but the debt that we're going to raise to pay that is only going to be $3 million.
Mayor, jump back in now. He just laid out a couple of facts with regard to one-time fixes, cash you spent it. Is he right about that?
No, absolutely. He doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. Let's talk about the budget. He waived all his responsibilities on the budget. His decisive leadership style, he didn't even read the charter and know the budget took effect in 45 days. That's his decisive leadership. The charter clearly spells out the timeline for the budget. The budget went into effect by the charter. He runs around saying, I instituted it. Absolutely didn't. I'm under the same constrictions he is. We followed the timeline. The budget went into effect. That's what we're dealing with. He didn't even participate in the budget except for a few hearings at the end, and then the clock ran out on him, and he tried to blame me.
With regard to the one-time fixes, though, that he
the
just spent
one-time
the ARPA
fixes,
money,
okay,
the
let's
relief
talk
money.
about the one-time fixes were structured that way from the ARPA bill to help cities and towns recover. I was on the phone yesterday with Cleveland, Ohio, because they used some one-time money on some violence prevention stuff, and they were explaining how they were using it to fill their budget. It is a normal course of events to come out of the pandemic and use the ARPA money as a bridge to a solid economic future. But if you can't read the charter, how are you going to even know the ARPA regs to follow it?
I'll let you engage each other. Go ahead.
One-time money wasn't given to cities and towns to bail them out for bad budgeting, Gene. That's not what this was for. And the mayor should understand that. When you use one-time money and the money's not going to be there next year, what are you going to do to raise $9 million?
I just explained it to you, but you
quite honestly, he sits here talking about gotcha politics and being a mayor,
I didn't
being a
mention gotcha
leader,
politics.
and being decisive. And well, I'll tell you what gotcha politics is. Gotcha politics is when you send a group text message with Mary Sahadi, Tim McCoy, his acting city administrator, on a Saturday before he called me as council president to let me know that we ran out of time because he didn't know about it until that Saturday. He says, hey, Tim McCoy says, Paul, any green light on the budget? Have you done a press release yet?
Yeah.
In addition to that, on the 42nd day that the city council acted, and I have the letter here signed by the Fall River City Clerk saying, at our meetings on June 22nd, under the provisions of Mass General Law, the city council voted to return the budget to the mayor. But the problem here has been he doesn't want to get in the weeds. He's actually said to school committee members he doesn't want to get in the weeds.
He's not even allowed to vote down the whole budget. He doesn't even know that as part of the charter. My position is he's so ill-informed that the things he's quoting are not even allowed.
You
he
can
can't
reduce,
vote down
reject,
the whole
or approve the budget, Mr.
But
Mayor.
you cannot vote down the whole budget.
You can
cannot
reduce,
send it to the
reject,
council
or
unless you
approve.
take it out of finance, which you never did. So my position is you don't even know the regs you're trying to quote. As far as the budget deficit and the money from ARPA, that was what it was designed for. The reason they call it lost revenue is because cities lost revenue. That's the definition of the ARPA funds.
Mayor, period, guys, period.
Okay.
Moving to another topic. We've got a half an hour. Crime in your city. A lot of talking about defund the police. A lot of talk about unhappy police. You have a problem with crime in Fall River. So does every other city in Massachusetts and the country. It's been a bad, bad year. Are you the man to take us back to where we ought to be with crime?
Well, first of all, we have 214 police officers that are on our payroll in Fall River right now. And we don't have enough police officers right now that feel supported and have the morale to patrol our city every single day. And that starts with the executive of this city making them feel that they are respected and let them know that he supports them. He ran for mayor 2 years ago and said, I will never offer the police union 001. In terms of raises for 3 years. What does he do as mayor? Offers him 001. My priority as mayor is going to be to restructure and reorganize the police department right now with the 214 police officers, move some people that are in our police department headquarters and get them to patrol our streets.
I'm going to get you.
Because a city is not going to be successful if the residents of this community don't feel safe.
Have you heard from police officers who say they don't like working for the mayor? They're unhappy with him. Have they come to you and said that?
No, what they have said is they don't feel supported. They feel that the morale is down. And that has been a big issue facing us.
Let's talk about
Go ahead.
support. Let's talk about support. Let's talk about support. He had an opportunity on 8/17 in the city council roll call to support our police officers by voting a $30,000 of a grant for a sex offender registry. It allows us to verify where sex offenders live in our neighborhoods so we can keep the children safe, to keep the residents safe, so they're doing what they're supposed to do when they get out of prison or they've been assigned. He voted no. He voted no. And then he comes up with this theory about it had to go to finance. It didn't have to go to finance. The other 5 people, some of them are not supporters of mine, all voted yes. Thank God it passed. But he, along with 2 others, said, we don't want to know where the sex offenders live, and came up with this cockamamie theory about, I got to know. Finance is him. Finance is him. The policeman I talked to, when you can't get a vote on something that basic, you're going to support him? I don't believe that for a second. I do not believe that for a second. In our public safety moves, we've done de-escalation training. We had a series of protests in Fall River this summer. I walked with the protesters. I spoke at the rallies. I helped to tamp down the whole thing. I never saw him. I never saw him. But I wanted the police to know I stood with them. I wanted the protesters to know I supported their position on a number of issues, and I got myself involved. I never saw the city council president at any of them.
Let's ask where you were.
So first of all, we were in a really challenging time. So we were dealing with COVID. The mayor was running around town having political fundraisers as businesses were getting shut down, raising $20,000 in the middle of a pandemic, and he's sitting here asking me where I was. Well, quite honestly, I have a role as a city councilor, and I tried my best to keep the city council informed of what was happening. I am not the chief executive officer of the city who is meant to bring the city together when things are happening. I've contributed to that over the last 6 years when he really hasn't been. So let's talk about that sex offender grant that he wants to sit here and run this fake news.
Did you vote against it?
Run this fake news about. What happens at our city council meetings is we refer items that come down as a communication to the mayor to finance, because sometimes the grants that we get are matching grants, and we need to find out where that money goes. Unfortunately, I don't think the mayor watches city council meetings because he would know that. It's a normal practice that we do that. We refer it to a subcommittee for discussion. I am fully behind the Fall River Police Department. I have been for 6 years, and I believe that they need to make sure that they have enough resources to patrol the city and feel supported.
Let's listen to what he said.
20
He
seconds.
was running around keeping councilors informed while protesters were marching in the city. That was the most important role he saw himself doing. I walked with the protesters from Heritage
Did
State
you have
Park.
a $20,000 fundraiser in the middle of the pandemic?
And as
Did you
far
have
as
a
his
$20,000
message as a message boy instead of a leader,
Did you have a
he was going to be on the
$20,000
phone.
fundraiser?
We were out working. We were working to try to keep Fall River safe. He was on the phone.
Did you have a
There's
$20,000?
difference.
Did you have a $20,000 fundraiser in the middle of the pandemic?
I don't know. No, I
in
did not.
September.
Period. Stop. Moving on to our lightning round. Not as much time for this, but we want to cover a bunch of topics. All right, lightning round. City Council President Ponte, your schools have troubles just like any other big city does. Are you the man to fix the schools, and where would you start?
Yes, first off, it starts with improving our MCAS scores and our student growth. Right now, Fall River school system is ranked top 10 in the worst performing school systems when it comes to MCAS scores. Our schools are actually showing progress. When our current mayor got on the school committee and he wanted to get the superintendent who he didn't support out and bring his friends in, including his brother, back to the school department to make sure that we had his people back running the school department. Ever since that happened, our school scores have plummeted. Our student MCAS scores have plummeted, and our student growth has plummeted. So yes, Gene, I am the one to lead the school.
Lightning round, quick answers. By the way, you were an educator many years,
exactly
so
right.
I guess he's saying you and your colleagues didn't do such a good job.
What
Go
he's
ahead.
saying is, let's forget about COVID. Well, we sent the kids home in March for 3 months of some kind of hybrid computer work. They were out on and off almost the last year. We went through all the scores last night at the school committee meeting. There is work to do. There again, we have money from the federal government to shore up our instruction and to try to make a standard curriculum across the board. Our kids deserve the best education possible. That's why I supported the new Durfee and all the improvements at our schools. And I'm going to keep doing it. And we're going to turn these scores around. It takes work. I'm not afraid of it. I walk into schools all the time. They're glad I'm there.
Lightning round. Next topic is business, small business. Your district can use help. I've been to Fall River. What are you going to do to make it more attractive for small business?
Well, really what's good with opera money that I would agree with here is that we should utilize opera money, which is one-time money from the federal government, to support businesses. Thankfully, Councilor Trott Lee and Councilor Chris Peckham filed a resolution to the city council to get it to the mayor during COVID while I was on the city council to make sure that we gave and reimbursed money back to small businesses who were struggling for their licensing fees and their liquor licensing fees. He takes credit for that, but thank God for the city council taking that on to make sure we support businesses. But what wouldn't happen and what isn't fair is you having grown men show up to our Fall River City Council meeting crying because of the way they were treated from this mayor and this administration who want to do business in Fall River. That's really what we need to support. And we need to also make this city industry friendly, Gene, because if you want to pull a permit in Fall River right now, you have to go from the second floor to the third floor to the fifth floor. We need a main point of contact. And if I'm fortunate enough to get elected mayor, there will be a main point of contact to help businesses not only succeed, but also grow.
Mayor, when you took over, if I looked at Fall River, what would you point to me and said, when I got here, this business district was this, now look at how nice it is. Where would you tell me?
I would tell you to look across the city. I was in the industrial park yesterday at Mass Biologics. Invigen, a new pharmaceutical company which just located in the industrial park, is looking to expand with a 50,000 square foot business. There is almost no land left in our industrial park right now. Across the city, old mills are being renovated, and we put in a $1.2 million CARES Act funding grant to assist small businesses, and more to follow on ARPA. We have to get our application settled, but we're not spending the money that fast. We are going to assist our small businesses. Fall River had almost 4,800 building permits issued since 20. Things are really booming in the city. Our streets are being done. The economic development is a stimulus for the entire city, and we're going to keep it going.
Just hold it right there. You raised this issue of a marijuana pay to play. Now, I've only got to get the hard closing statements. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to make the allegation, and then you rebut it, because you threw that out there. 20, go ahead.
An individual came to the city council meeting last night, him and his wife, and said the way he was treated by this current mayor and his administration to get a host community agreement, because they're a social equity group. We're told they need to pay $2,500 non-refundable, then $1,000, then $25,000.
Nothing untoward, though.
No.
Bureaucracy. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead,
it's not my words, Gene. It was said by the
Gene,
individual.
You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Mayor,
Gene,
20 seconds to answer that, then we're going to closing.
That person came to the meeting because he called them.
Oh.
He called them and brought them to the meeting, part of the staged pep rally last night. We looked at fees for licenses across the state. I did it this morning. They average between $15,000 and $3,000. Most cases,
Why'd you
we
charge
charge
him
$2,500.
Why did you charge him? Why did you tell him you were going to pay him?
The
Charge him $25,000.
The applications fees go from
We're
15
holding
to 50.
it there. I just want to, if we throw out an allegation that there's wrongdoing, it's not wrongdoing, it's bureaucracy. We're going to give you your closing statements now. And by a flip of a coin, we decided who goes first for the closing statement.
Okay. All right. So
Mayor,
I want to
make a closing statement, address the camera, if you will.
I took office in a time of upheaval in the city of Fall River. And I was one singular focus: work hard every day, stay involved, be out in the community, and that's what we've done. I believe you bring honesty, integrity, and openness back to the city of Fall River. I've had fights with the city council, there's no disputing that. But these fights were not started by me. These were started by individuals who have an agenda different than mine. Look no further than last night's pep rally in the city council chambers. It was completely orchestrated by the council president, which has not been done in years, literally calling people and asking them to come to the city council meeting. We don't need that in Fall River. We need good, honest, stable government moving our city forward based on numbers and principles. And I am not going to waver from my principles. I am going to stay in the community, and I am going to work hard, and I ask for your vote on November 2nd.
Thank you, Mayor, for your closing statement. Council President Cliff Ponte.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you, NBC 10, and thank you, the viewers and those in the region who are watching us today. Fall River can be bright. It can have great schools, a thriving waterfront, a thriving downtown. It could be a city that is a city of opportunity and great hope. As your mayor of Fall River, I promise you that I will be working on priorities for working families of Fall River, which means we will work to reduce the stormwater fee and water rates. We will reorganize city government to cut continued waste. $100,000 office upgrades, $500 coffee machines are going to be a day of the past. Reorganizing our police department right now and making sure that we have enough police officers on our streets patrolling our neighborhood. Universal free pre-K. We will use COVID money that we got in our school department to launch the program to provide relief to our families who are paying for daycare. We will create a street-by-street improvement plan to make sure that our streets are clean and patrolled and clean over the next 2 years. On November 2nd, I ask for your vote for mayor and promise you and your family nothing but my very best. Thank you.
Thanks to both of you. By the way, thanks for bringing it today. It's very spirited. You're alive in Fall River.
We are.
You are. There's a lot at stake. And vote. Thanks for being with us for this debate.